Changes force, always make a connection. There we go, we in there. There we go.
Fund me 10,000. Haha. It's funny how this bodybuilder makes more money than you and Frank Warren together. LOL #jealousy. Salvage Meister. Never heard anyone contradict themselves like this fella. Timothy Bradley is going with Artur Beterbiev for the win against Joe Smith Jr. in their upcoming light heavyweight title unification bout. Bradley is quoted by ESPN ringside via ESPN.com stating the following take on the fight. Artur Beterbiev knows how to break his opponents down, and I think he's going to break Joe Smith down and get him out of there early. This fight is not going past the 6th round. Ubiquitous ESPN journalist and occasional bullshit artist Mike Coppinger states the following regarding the presumed notoriety of up-and-coming Puerto Rican boxing star Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga is being fined and suspended by the New York State Athletic Commission after he attempted to bite Alexis Angulo on Saturday, sources tell ESPN. Berlanga said it was retaliation for repeated elbows and apologized after the victory.
Yeah, I'll give you 10 names, you give me the first word that comes to mind.
Alright, cool.
Alright, first up, Eddie Hearn.
Great promoter.
Bob Arum.
The best promoter.
George Kambosos.
Actor.
Ryan Garcia.
YouTuber. TikToker.
Tank Davis.
Power puncher.
Vasily Lomachenko.
Technician.
Jojo Diaz.
Pressure fighter.
Teofimo Lopez.
Crybaby.
Raleigh Romero.
Bum.
Here's a message from Stevie Levy, who has a record of 5 wins 1 loss and is supposedly managed by Dave Allen. Exactly 2 weeks until weigh-in. Means 2 weeks, 1 day, to fight night. So fucking excited now and so grateful to everyone who's coming. There's way more than I originally thought, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I have very limited tickets left, so please get in touch ASAP. Premier Boxing former 2-division world champion Danny Swift Garcia makes his 154-pound debut on July 30th against Jose Benavidez Jr. Hear what he had to say about Benavidez in this week's episode of the PBC podcast.
Yeah, I've been watching him since he was fighting at 140 at one time. When I was the champion at 140, I think he was the regular champion. So I've always been, you know, I'm a fan of boxing, so I always watch who's new, who's coming up, who's around. And I always watch him and his brother. But I think he was on the scene first, so I'm pretty familiar with his style. I know what he brings to the table.
Jesse Rodriguez Franco aka Bam Rodriguez, who now has a record of 15-0. And who rose to sudden prominence within mainstream boxing and the delight of matchroom boxing in particular after his emphatic win over Carlo Cuadras to become the WBC champion at 115 pounds in February the year of our Lord 2022. Is about to go into a very difficult fight against Sosikat Sorung Visai. I must admit, I'm quite surprised that this fight isn't getting more attention from boxing scribes. However, after further consideration as to what might be the reason for the lackluster lukewarm reception to the fight, I began to suspect that it has something to do with the rather inexplicable yet natural aversion that journalists have always seemed to have towards Rung Visai. After all, this is the man who single-handedly dispelled all and deconstructed the hype and myth that was aggressively being built around Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. You get the feeling that he'll never be forgiven for throwing a spanner in the works. In regards to the fight that Bam is about to go into, fans have highlighted the fact that Rung Visai is up in age, therefore Bam might knock out the Thai fighter. I happen to see it differently. In my estimation, Rung Visai will do what he has always done, which is to remain in position and apply well-coordinated pressure backed up by natural power. A high guard and wide stance, alongside the last thing to leave a fighter being power. This is not to suggest that Bam Rodriguez will lose to Rung Visai, but I expect it to be a difficult fight for the newcomer against a very experienced power puncher with a record of 50 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw. The 2 knockout losses on Rung Visai's record occurred at the absolute beginning of his career in Thailand. What can fans expect from Josh Kelly on Friday night? A masterclass. Josh Kelly is in a fighting mood ahead of a major night of boxing on Channel 5 TV tomorrow night from 9 p.m. at Wasserman Boxing. At Sauerland Bros. At William Hill. #Gorman Salek.
Josh Kelly, press conference done. You looked calm and confident up there. Did you feel it?
Always, bro. Always. It's another fight, innit?
After what happened in London a few weeks ago, how has your preparation been for Liverpool this Friday?
Solid, solid. You just have to keep it rolling, so solid, mate. I feel even more prepared now, so it's going to be a big performance.
You've spoken about wanting to challenge for world titles further down the line. What have you got to do on Friday to make that dream come true?
I just got to do Josh Kelly, just box. Box very clever, very smart, he's spiteful, I'm fit, I'm strong. So I'm just going to do me. I don't need to think of any outside influences, do me. And the best version of me always produces.
What did you see in your opponent's eyes when you got face to face, eye to eye? What did you see?
Yeah, he's game, bro, which is a good thing, which is a nice thing to see, because the gamer they are, the more holes they are, and the more holes there are to expose, the more gaps there is, the more punches he throws, he's going to get hurt.
What can fans see on Friday night, Josh?
Masterclass.
Can't wait to see it. All the best.
Thank you, my man.
It could all be over tonight. I certainly hope so. Let's go, Chef Curry. End it tonight. Do not, I repeat, do not, let this series return to Boston. Michael Benson posted the following tweet. Terence Crawford on the Errol Spence fight.
Hopefully. That's the plan, for us to get the job done on the business side and share the ring. Spence has 3 of the titles, I've got 1. It would be for undisputed. This is the biggest moment for us two to fight. The zone boxing. What's the fucking point?
What's the insufferable point of stating the bleeding obvious?
I'm sure fans are very confident in Terence Crawford saying hopefully.
I mean, what's next?
Fingers crossed. Seems there's nothing but hopes, dreams, and wishful thinking when it comes to this accursed fight, and we can all do that without the blasted fighters engaging in it too. The whole affair is way more tedious than it needs to be, and I happen to feel that both fighters are complicit in not being totally straightforward with their supporters. Now given, I might be slightly inclined to believe that PBC and Errol Spence are a bit more dubious than Crawford. But quite frankly, not by as much as I initially figured. Daniel Dubois seems rejuvenated, refreshed, and ready to re-establish his dominance over the steady stream of bums supplied by Queensbury Promotions as normal practice. Hence, a return to regular service. While talking big about people who have done more and seem much better than him in terms of competition, exposure, level of opposition, and accomplishment. Who knew that a dreadful-looking win against a horrific, unfit-looking and poorly promoted fighter like Trevor Bryan would lift the Bruno 2000 model to such heady heights? His promoter Frank Warren must love Dubois. He has that old-school archetypical dumb Negro look that puts certain white people at ease. Frank has gone as far as to suggest that Anthony Joshua is tailor-made for Dubois, and I suppose many Tyson Fury fans would agree, especially after Dubois' tremendous effort against both Joe Joyce and Trevor Bryan.
One has to wonder why, if Anthony Joshua is so bad, how come none of the others have managed to unseat him?
Tyson Fury has to go on a media blitz to try and convince the faithful that he matters more than the guy who just bought into DAZN, while he touts the possibility of exhibitions and speaking tours as a big announcement.
Anyway, going back to Dubois, there seems to be an old Fawlty Towers joke that comes to mind, since Dubois wants to fight all of Matchroom's main heavyweights, and places himself on parity with both Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, but appears rather reluctant to run it back with Joyce.
Remember John Cleese and the German guests.
Just don't mention the war. Joe Joyce has just had a fight announced against Christian Hammer, the eternal ever-ready heavyweight gatekeeper.
But it seems Joyce is more concerned with the sparring video Anthony Joshua released, in which Joyce looked terrible and positively made Joshua, who's often referred to as a muscled stiff fighter, into a heavyweight Mayweather. Joyce seems quite angry about that, but seriously, maybe it's about time Queensbury fighters started paying Joshua, because this is getting weird.
Yeah, it was a very biased sparring video of him looking good. He hasn't looked that good for a while, or someone is hand-picked sparring, but I think like mentally where Joshua's at, he's kind of, I don't know what, he's being a bit petty. He likes being, you know, the big man, the landlord and that. Like, he's very corporate, and he knows how to, like, sometimes he just waffles this talk where it sounds like really philosophical and stuff. But it seems very scripted. But then when he breaks character like that, then you know there's something's going on, and that's why I said his head's a bit gone. You know, like, and he's biting, and I mean, even like talking to them uni kids, like, why is he like? It should be like, you know, like water for a duck's back. It shouldn't like affect him, but like him having to go there and like intimidate them and stuff, like it's not really needed, is it?
Golden Boy Promotions' only noticeable welterweight Virgil Ortiz took to Twitter to lament the collapse of negotiations between Golden Boy and Queensbury Promotions under Frank Warren in regards to the prospect of a fight being scheduled between himself and David Avanesian.
He writes, "I'm not one to write on stuff like this, but somebody ask Frank Warren why he's not posting about his guy not signing the fight versus Virgil." Mr. Warren tweeted several times Virgil/Golden Boy turned down the Avanesian fight.
"You guys negotiated and agreed 4 weeks ago.
This isn't
David, but to his management, who kept claiming we were not accepting the fight. We have tried the best available person every time."
Thurman was also a no. Yes, he's available.
No, I don't know if it's him or the people around him, and it's that. Virgil doesn't care who he fights next.
Beterbiev, Joseph Jr., Madison Square Garden. The winner of that fight gets me next. Lions in the camp.